recently, our commander-in-chief vetoed a bipartisan bill to stop selling weapons to Saudi Arabia in their genocidal taking out of Yemen. I say taking out because the United Nations expects 10 million people to starve to death by the end of this year. So within the next 6 months, they expect 10 million people to starve to death because the United States and the Saudi Arabia and the United States are blocking food from getting into the country, starving all the civilians. There are 27 million people in Yemen total, and they say they expect 10 million of them to be starved to death by the end of the year, which is 5 months away. The fact that he vetoed that, and then the House and Senate were unable to get the override votes to override his veto, that apparently stands for now. And what can you say about that? They're going to allow 10 million people to starve to death because Trump vetoed a bill because he thinks that we need the money from those weapons sales to Saudi Arabia for this purpose. I don't know how dark of a human being you have to do to sign off on something like that. To say that I'm not happy with that decision would be the understatement of a lifetime. I started doing these videos because I didn't think that they were talking about Yemen in the news enough, considering 20 million people are starving and now 10 million are near death. The fact is, back when I started into this, there were well over 400 Stormy Daniels videos on CNN, or stories on CNN. And there was one Yemen story on CNN. And I remember when it was on, it was the first time that they had really covered it. It was like, wow. They did it about 40 minutes into their hour-long show, so it was just kind of buried behind everything else. And that's the last time I've seen anything at all. Granted, I don't watch television, so I don't know. But I have heard that they are not talking about it at all. Now, I'm not going to say why they are or are not, but I'll say this. I think that it's not sensational enough. I think that because they need it to be sensational and wild and explosions and stuff for it to be a story, it's just a matter of starvation being too boring for CNN or other network news stations. And that nauseates me to say, as well it should. So now I've put out a video that's about 20 seconds long, just a picture of a couple starving kids and some captions saying what the UN said. And that's about it. Oh, and the words saying that that's the case. Now it took me a long time to come around to putting those kids on there because it's really graphic and horrific to see starving children. I didn't want to do it, but now that this has happened in Congress and the president vetoed it, it's like, well, it's time to take the gloves off the best I can, and it's like, I'm sorry it's uncomfortable, I'm sorry it's ugly, but it gets people's attention. And the thing about it is, people wouldn't have done anything about Ethiopia if they hadn't seen those kids starving. They wouldn't have done anything, and they came to their rescue once they saw those kids starving. So it's appropriate to show what's going on in the world. I think it's a big problem that they don't show war. We don't have war reporters out there anymore. And the Pentagon knows very well that if we do show war, they're going to get resistance. So they try to make sure that no news comes back from war zones. I don't know how hard they enforce that, or if it's just a matter of shoot a reporter every once in a while just to make them scared to go. I don't know. I just don't know of anybody that's out in the wars anymore. It's like not a thing. And I don't blame the reporters, although I kind of blame the ones that don't go there. Apparently, back quite a few years, shortly after 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld told the main stations that if they aired anything that did not reflect, or that did reflect poorly on the military or the Pentagon, that he would end them. Well, that's fascist, isn't it? But I think the proof's in the pudding. When's the last time you saw any story in the news critical of the Pentagon or the U.S. military and their actions? It doesn't exist. Not only does it not exist much, I haven't seen anything even remotely close for years and years and years. Again, I don't watch television much, but I've asked around and nobody else has seen anything either. And I think it's an interesting point to pay attention to. So there's the picture in Yemen. I apologize for it, but I don't. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think that everybody should pass around that little video clip, meme it out. I think that everybody needs to see that so that people can stand up and tell our government that they need to do something about it right now. There's no time left. People are starving to death and they've got that little time to live. A lot of them are not going to live anyway at this point. So it's like, okay, people are dying now, and they're going to start dying by the millions very soon. And that's beyond reprehensible. That's just unfucking believable. Anyway, that's about what I got for now. Hope all y'all have a good day.